Before. Hawthorn coach Alan Jeans would be one of the most respected men in VFL football today, and rightfully so. Jeans' playing career was a relatively short one, spanning the years from 55 to 59, and in that time he accumulated 77 games with St Kilda, representing Victoria in 1955. In his playing days, Alan notched 6 night matches, including a premiership in 58. Alan Jeans took over the coaching role at St Kilda in 61 and continued in that post until 1976, 338 games later. In that time, the Saints won their only daytime premiership in 1966 and finished in the top 5 places on another 9 occasions. 1981 was Jeans' first year at Hawthorn, and this is his 7th season with the Hawks. In his first year, the Hawks finished in 6th place and since then have never been out of the 5. Premierships in 83 and 86 have been part of the reward for Alan Jeans and Hawthorn. It would be a new achievement for Jeans to coach to back-to-back flags in his 511th VFL game. And now on VFL Grand Final Day 1987, we welcome Dennis Cometti. Good afternoon, Dennis.
Yes, good afternoon, Ken. An absolutely glorious day here in Melbourne. The temperature in the low 30s, would you believe that, for the Grand Final of 1987. A replay of last year's Grand Final. Things perhaps have changed a little bit. Carlton go against the Hawks, and with me, Bob Skilton and Peter McKenna. What about this hot weather, Bobby? 31 degrees. Who will that favour?
Well, the last time it was 31 degrees, it was won by Hawthorn in 1961, their first flag.
Oh, trivia. What about Pete?
Well, I think
the
atmosphere is absolutely electric. You'd think it was the middle of summer here at the MCG, and I think that Carlton have got a lot to prove after last year. No one likes losing a grand final, Dennis.
And capacity.
Yep, 100,000 people here as Hawthorn prepare to come onto the Melbourne Cricket Ground, led by their veteran Michael Tuck. They won through to this game in that magnificent preliminary final last week. There's the joint Brownlow medalist from Monday night, John Platt and Hawthorn, in the finals for the last 6 years. It's their 5th consecutive grand final appearance. Their record this season, 19-6. Hawthorn.
Pritchard's out there, so I would imagine Dunstall might not play.
Now this could be a body blow for the Hawks. Jason Dunstall over 90 goals this season, 94. They'll miss him up forward, Peter McKenna.
Well, there is no way known that Hawthorn would play anyone who was slightly doubtful. That's their policy at the club, Bob. I think you agree with that. And if he's not 100%, I wouldn't play him either. I'd take the punt.
I don't go along with 100% because players have been injured and played in finals on that many occasions and played well. It doesn't matter. But if he wasn't good enough to do justice to himself and the club, then there's no way. I do see Chris Mew out there. I cannot see Jason Dunstall, but Darren Pritchard is there.
Well, that'll be a big thrill for young Darren Pritchard, the Tasmanian. He'll have a lot of pre-match nerves, but I think everyone has nerves, Bob, under these sort of conditions.
I don't think anyone plays well without having nerves. I think the only times I've ever really played poorly is when I've gone out on the ground feeling so relaxed that I thought I was going to play well.
You must have been tense a lot of the time, Bobby. The umpires this afternoon, Ian Robinson officiating in his 9th grand final, and Rowan Saws in his 3rd. What about Johnny Platten's win on Monday night? What will that do to pump this side up, Peter?
Well, I think that John Platten is a champion. He'll play well today, no doubt about that. I think a lot of people forget what a great win it was by Hawthorn against Melbourne, Bob. We must remember they kicked against a strong breeze for 3/4 last week, and not many people have mentioned that fact. And I thought that was a magnificent fighting win, typical of Hawthorn last week against Melbourne.
I think they're a magnificent club, and well, whereas Melbourne tried to get away from the Norm Smith image, John Kennedy set the pattern at Hawthorn, and ever since John Kennedy left, Hawthorn have tried to maintain and have achieved it actually in maintaining that John Kennedy image.
A very low-key, even when they win premierships, they're a low-key club.
I don't know, if they win the premiership, I wouldn't call it low-key.
Now, what about the approach of Carlton? They've backed off this week. It's been low-key there, at least in terms of allowing their players to go public.
I think it's been disgraceful to be
I knew you felt strongly about it, Bob.
You know, I think if you can't send a couple of players along to a charity function for the Variety Club, then that's not part of Grand Final week. If Hawthorn can send 6 of their best players along, Carlton have put their players in cotton wool. They might come out and the first thing they know about a grand finals here today. But if they win the premiership, then it might set a pattern. Nobody will go to any function.
Bob, interestingly so, as Carlton have just been announced coming on the ground. It'll be very, very interesting. We'll see them in a moment. But We saw Dermot Brereton a moment ago. There were a few rumours going around that David Rhys-Jones might pick up Dermot Brereton, and John Dorotich may play on the forward line. What would be opinion of that, Bob, if it did occur?
I don't think Hawthorn would mind at all.
I think it'd suit Hawthorn down to the ground, actually.
What do you think, Dennis? Do you fancy Rhys-Jones against Brereton?
Not really, no.
Dorotich for the forward line?
Well, he can play on the forward line. He's a talented forward player, Dorotich. Certainly in Western Australia he was. But
Kicked 9 in a grand final,
yes, he played very well in final round matches over there, but I think he's needed on Brereton.
I really believe the key to the game, Dennis, when Carlton come out, is that man Kernahan. Kernahan and Bradley, the two South Australians. If they fire, I think Carlton can win. But I'll tell you what, if Hawthorn can hold those two great players, I think it'll go the other way.
Well, that's when it really matters whether Chris Mew is 100% or not. He was really KO'd last week, and sometimes you can be knocked out and come up okay. Other times you can be just a little bit iffy.
Here they come then. The Carlton Football Club, the season's top qualifiers. And the banner reads, True Blue Champions. Well, that is open to debate. That's what we're here for this afternoon. Carlton onto the MCG.
Well, interesting, the cheer squad too, as we see the Blues come out. The big banner that they had up there, the run-through, had caricatures of Peter Motley and, of course, Des English, and two men fighting desperately against bad health. And good luck to both of them, but a great effort by the Carlton cheer squad. You'll see it as it comes up. Two caricatures, I'm sure.
It's a magnificent banner.
It's a great effort. And the one on the left, you'll see it in a moment, as the Carlton players are about to run through. The man on the left is obviously Peter Motley, and the one on the right, Des English, battling against ill health.
Carlton in the top 5 for the last 10 seasons, a remarkable record. They won back-to-back premierships in 1981 and 1982, and their record this season is 19-4. So the Blues on the ground, that's the scene from the year. Over 100,000 people at the Melbourne Cricket Ground, the temperature in the low 30s. The stage is set for the showdown. Of course, going back a couple of weeks, we saw that second semi-final won by Carlton. They played some very good football. They got out of their ground early. And one wonders with these conditions if that freshening up process of missing the week is going to stand them in good stead. Let's go down now to former St Kilda champion Barry Breen.
Thank you, Dennis. Good afternoon, everybody. Well, it certainly is a sensational afternoon here today. The weather is very warm, and they say that it is probably the warmest September day for the grand final ever. The wind, very, very breezy, swirling around all over the ground, as can be seen by the way the banners have had their difficulty. The heat is certainly going to test the players' stamina from both sides, but I think it's going to be just a wonderful contest, and the atmosphere, as I said, is all set for a great afternoon's football.
Certainly is an imposing sight, this one. What about